Hi, my name is Bobby Dechellis, and I was the rigging gaffer on The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Can you explain to people what a rigging gaffer is?
Sure, so rigging gaffer, I work side by side with the gaffer and DP, and I am in charge of setup, essentially. So my job is to take the gaffer and DP's ideas and essentially make it into a practical idea that is something we can build and create for them within the set.
All right, so in prep for Mandalorian and Grogu, you guys kind of got aspect. You were the first show to use these Moto K40s in your testing and stuff like that. What was the mindset of pulling these new lights in and risking it all? No, just kidding.
So LEDs have long been obviously the new game in town. Output has always been sort of the Achilles heel of the LED, right? So in a lot of places we still use old tungsten lights, your 10Ks and stuff, because LEDs simply didn't have enough punch. On top of that, we also had an issue with accessibility. We had a lot of big sets where there were areas we couldn't get to. So having some kind of motorized light was ideal. And once again, motorized lights typically fall into the moving light, which is something for rock and roll. And once again, output's there, but not the type of output that we're typically looking for. It's a sharper, more shafty type of light. So the K40s were interesting because they were the first motorized LED that sort of had output designed for the film industry as opposed for the live event industry. And it allowed us to have the accessibility, the flexibility of a moving light, but with the output of like a tungsten light. And that's something that we never had before. So it gives us a lot of really cool options.
No, that's awesome. What other lights did you kind of rig into sets that you kind of like gravitate to in terms of Fiilex? Like,
so you guys, we love your P line, your P3s, and your Q5s. They're the smaller little LEDs, and they're great for building into fixtures. They have a very small form factor with a detachable ballast, so it really allowed us. Star Wars is all about the look of it, sort of that space. It's like old new space, and so there was it allowed us to stick these fixtures in a lot of art departments props, so we could have modern light control while still having that Star Wars aesthetic. So it was very nice, but we really liked the small heads. Worked out very well.
Nice. One of the other things you're responsible for is like the data and lining that all up so that when the first unit comes in. Can you maybe just dig into that, like that thought process too, of like all the connections that are happening and the control aspect of LED now?
Sure. Every LED light is a computer these days. So every LED light, depending on the size and what it is, there's a different level of functionality it requires. We call it its footprint. And typically the larger the light, the larger the footprint. And so obviously, the K40s, I think they're roughly 100 something channels. And so what that means essentially to the layman is that we require a lot of lighting networking devices, which is Cat6 cable and switches. We did something what's known as a fully managed network on Mandalorian, and it just allowed us a tremendous amount of flexibility with the size and scale of the sets. And we were pushing hundreds of universes through most of these sets, which is a lot, even by modern standards.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
What was the do you remember the exact, like, what was the largest set and the largest number of universes that you?
It's funny because we do a lot of what's called pixel mapping, which is essentially individual control diodes, and there's a bit of a, for lack of a better term, a pissing contest of who can make the biggest, who can have the most universes on their set. But it reminds me of like the canned food drive in school, right? You used to bring in canned food, right? And then there would always be a kid that showed up with like boxes of Top Ramen because they were so cheap. And you're like, well, that only counts as one. And I kind of feel that way with Pixel. Pixel's so easy to use a million universes, like it doesn't count. And so we had sets with 50, 60 universes of Pixel, but to me that's not really, doesn't really count.
When you have every single button on a spaceship that
yeah.
lights up. Yeah.
And so we had sets that were multiple universes just for these tiny LEDs. But as far as like lighting control itself for universes, we're probably about 40 to 50.
Wow.
We're just big lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. What are the aspects for you? Like what made Fiilex maybe easier for you in terms of your job specifically?
What's interesting about Fiilex is you guys have gone a different route than most LED manufacturers. For the most part, all we had was soft panels. Right, when LEDs came out, everyone made soft panels, and then hard panels. You guys have a different approach. Your Fresnel line and your point sources, you guys are kind of the first ones to really use those So it's another tool, added layer of ability to use LEDs, because everybody wants full color now. The thing is about tungsten is it's one color, and gelling stuff and all that stuff. Everyone expects every light to change color these days. And so it was really nice because you guys got this first line of these small Fresnel units that we could really put all over sets, because I don't think that existed before you guys. And there's a few other games in town now, but that really allowed us to do a lot of stuff we weren't able to do before. And same with the K40s and K10s. It was a different, with the lenses and the way they work, it's a different type of light coming out of there that allowed us just it's another tool in the tool chest, and we used a lot of them all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.